coming by. As you can see, we have updated our layout for all of your guys' viewing pleasure. So now you can also see our wonderful players' races, stats, all of that sort of thing. We're going to hopefully be working on continuously updating our layout and making sure that it is totally rad and cool for all of you guys, because I really appreciate each and every single one of you who decides that each and every week that it's a good idea to come out and watch this stream. It's really cool to see, so I want to do something cool for you guys to see as well when you come by. So first things first, welcome. The first thing that I would like to do is a point of order, which we did off camera last time, but I am calling it revisionist history, which is I listen to the VODs after we get done, and I catch myself saying things that aren't necessarily true, or I screw up a little bit. So that happens, but in order to start things off at the beginning on the right foot, I would like to point out, when Gwen said that the greatest warrior was the Tempest, I got Talos and Tempest confused. It was actually Tempest who was Talos who was the god of storms, and Tempest who is the god of war. So, just so that way it's not like, I'm retconning an entire deity. No, it's just, to get things straight and keep things going smoothly, I would like to just get that point of order across at the beginning. But, all of that aside, hopefully the Witch of Technical Difficulties does not visit us with her awful cackling and cause frame drops and stuff this week, because it changed my location within my house, so all of that can get taken care of. But that is all of it for my announcements. Does anybody else have any announcements that they want to get out at the beginning of the show? I know one announcement, which is that if you like to watch doodles and drawings, you can go over to the stream/flailingwings_, where Danae is going to be doing a simulcast doodle stream of tonight's episode. So if you want to see NPCs develop as they unfold, that is a good place to do it. If you can have both streams open, good on you. It's a good... I know I enjoy watching the art as we stream when I listen to the VOD, so I would highly suggest it if you are into that sort of thing, instead of just looking at people's faces for several hours. But, all of that aside, we have gorgeous faces, and we would like to welcome you to this week's episode of A New Dawn in Indoor Adventures. I don't believe we have a party name yet, or a much better name than Indoor Adventures, so that's what we're rolling with, gang. But last week, for all of those who may have missed it, for friends joining us new and old, last week we solved, or not really solved, but we were able to converse with Fang and get him to recommend our party visit an old friend of his, a redskin tiefling named Makath, who, with her little side companion, Scruff, were able to point you guys in the right direction about the drug that had been slipped inside of the Stone Drop Ale. On top, or in relation to the drugging, while Gwen was asleep late at night, and the three of you were still waiting downstairs talking with Fang, you were confronted by one Skavix Slaughterhouse, a white dragonborn who seemed bureaucratic at first, but still chilled Fang right to the bone. And he was the guard captain and asked a series of prompt questions before removing the slain bodies of muggers from the Zesty Anchor and cleaning up the bar after himself with magic. Now, where we left our heroes, all of you had made it to the Overlook District, which lies in the northernmost part of the city of Shroudport, which kind of is named such because of its high placement on the cliffside. So it has a really good look across the rest of the city and down into the actual port area beneath. You talk to a guard captain, or just an average guard, not necessarily a guard captain, who seemed kind of bummed that his ward, not ward, his protection person, I guess. I mean, he's a guard, a member of the city, he had put out a claim to the blood hunters that our good friend Blake was a part of, asking for help in regards to a tragic gardening accident. When this guard had found out what the issue was, he seemed kind of bummed because he never got to do anything, and here you guys were going out on a rad adventure while he, again, was doing nothing, even though people were paying him money in order to go do it. You think that maybe in another life this man might have been an adventurer, but the cards just weren't on his table. So you progressed into the Overlook District, where you took a immediate right upon entering into the district down to estates, and then you entered into the estate of the award-winning arborist Sten Fizeno. And we are going to pick up where you guys left off, which is right in front of a large set of red double doors leading into a much larger, grander home, along with a lot of botanical experiments outside, such as roses that had multicolors kind of twisting along inside of them, sunflowers that also had vibrant colors, various forms of plants that had all been kind of grafted and changed in some way by Sten himself, or at least that's what you would assume. So, the door remains closed in front of you. I am assuming one of you has either your hand up to wrap your knuckles on the door or are attempting to seek entry into this estate by one means or another.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of kick the door, like turn around and kick it with the back of my heel.
Okay.
Which is basically at the base of the door.
Make a strength check. And this isn't to cause damage onto the door unless you want to. This is primarily to see how strong your kick will be to actually resonate out into where this person lives.
It's a 10.
Okay. It's a pretty good kick. All things considered, like, you've had better, but, I mean, you weren't really trying on this part. You were more just like, hey, open the fucking door.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
Trying to be cool.
Yeah, so you give it a solid kick, and you don't really hear much of any kind of response from the inside until several minutes go by, and you hear scuffling along the ground, and you hear a voice from the inside. I'm coming. Just wait one moment. And you hear several clicks of doors locks being opened, and inside, the door pulls forward, and inside you see a little tan-skinned gnome with black hair, who's wearing a green vest that has a nice gold chain that looks like a pocket watch, but it has a little gold flower hanging from the chain itself. Yes, can I help you? He says, just sort of looking eagle-eyed at you, Gwen, and then up at the rest of you. And he has to kind of careen back a little bit to look at Blake with your 6'8" stature, as this gnome is roughly 3. Like, he's close to 4. If it got into a competition between him and his siblings, he would swear he was 4 feet on the nose, but in reality, he's more like 3'11".
So he's getting a pretty good look under the hood, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, not even that, but he's seeing, like, it doesn't get a good look under your hood. He just sees the bottom part of your mouth. Like, he can't see anything past that unless he were to get a ladder or some sort of vertical leverage.
Good chin and jaw.
Mm-hmm. Solid.
Oh, actually, I think the question is, how can we help you? Considering the fact that you were in need of some sort of help. Hello, my name's Cori. This is Gwen, Caelum, and Blake. And she's just gonna shove Blake to the front.
So Blake is gonna pull out the contract and just unroll it we're here to help with your plants.
I see. So they finally... Well, I'm glad to get a debt over with. Now, come along. I'd prefer to talk about this more inside than I would standing out here in the open streets. So come into my home, please.
Gwen goes last.
Okay.
Wait till everyone else goes in.
And you, upon entering into the foyer of this gnome's large estate, you can see that there are flowers of this kind of fantastic variety that are in either glass jars or kind of pinned up on display. He seems to be taking the time to really present these flowers, and as he continues on, he shows you just kind of around and catches you all sort of looking at these flowers. These are all of my award-winning plants. I keep the most prestigious ones outside as they need to continue drawing in their sunlight, but these ones, they have a special place in my heart.
Great. What's the thing we're doing?
Now, who here is a member of the Hunters Guild?
Hi.
You know what? I'm not even surprised. That does make sense. You look tall and rather scary. Now,
He's just gonna, like, scratch the back of his hood.
Now, the reason I went to the Hunters rather than the City Watch, do you know of a hunter named Vend?
I do.
Many years ago, he came to me suffering from a grievous toxin while I was still working as an herbalist. I cured him, and in thanks he said that he would fulfill one request that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am calling in that favor now.
Okay.
As you may have heard, I am an award-winning arborist.
Really?
Yes. I like to think that I am one of the best plant growers this side of the burning sea. Now, with that, every year I try and make changes. I try and be somewhat outstanding, different, if you will. And you guys continue. He just is sort of leading you, and you... Like, he's not just, like, standing in the middle of this foyer talking to you guys. But he is walking you all through this house. And as you go, you see that not only has he kept up with all of these different flowers that do look impressive if you are the kind of person who finds that sort of thing impressive, which pretty much, I assume, excludes Gwen in all regards. And
I checked out when I found out he was a gnome.
It's always gnomes.
Gnomes.
Why did it have to be a gnome?
But yeah, so he, as he leads you, you can see that there are various sorts of books on the shelves. Some of older prints, probably 100 years old, that are all. They all have to do with horticulture and the growing of plants of some variety, or they seem to be kind of a breakdown of the structure of what a plant is. And it's just packed until you get to towards the back area, which is It is a glass room. It has a glass ceiling and then a glass back wall, and you get the idea that this is sort of like his experimental greenhouse, where he does a lot of the smaller projects towards this back area. And you can see that he also has a few cages set up with a blanket over them, and he lets you know. Now, I understand you're here for a job, but these are my pet projects for next year's festival. I want to make sure that when they do come out, everyone will be surprised at what I have created. It'll probably be deserving of an award of some sort.
Sweet.
And so...
They're great.
However, I did not invite you into my home in order to talk about myself, surprising as it may seem. Now...
Can I do an insight check on that?
Yes, you can definitely do an insight check on this guy.
Steven, I swear to God, if you're doing what I think you're doing.
Insight. No, it's an 8.
It's an 8? You get the idea that this guy kind of just wanted to invite you into his house to talk about himself.
Like an asshole.
Yeah, like any gnome would.
No.
Typical gnome.
Come on. You have not given me one gnome that is redeeming of them.
What do you mean? They're all redeeming, all the time. Now, I contacted the Hunters Guild because I felt like you would be the only ones well-versed enough to take care of my problem. Or possibly other people's problems if this isn't an isolated situation. Yes.
What do you mean by isolated situation?
My problem, Gray One. I'm sorry, I have forgotten your name.
It's fine.
Okay, Gray One.
It's Caelum.
Caelum. I was close. It was like a mnemonic device. Gray One, Caelum. I'm going to write that down for later. However,
I'm gonna start picking through, like walking around, not paying attention to what he's talking about at all.
okay.
Just wandering off,
Sure.
basically.
Now, my story begins halfway through this last year. I was talking with a friend, one of the members of the local Alchemists Guild. He and I routinely meet in order to discuss how to get the proper levels of chemical balance within the soil in order to promote plant growth. He suggested that since there was a fire near the northern part of the forest last year, that I should try and import this mineral-rich soil down to Shroudport, as I have typically used soil from either the Gated Glen, the Isles of Alestria, or the local soils around Shroudport.
Darling, I'm sure this is going somewhere.
Yes. As
You guys can just see the rage in Gwen is just fuming. She's trying really hard to behave, but she's really getting annoyed.
So, about this problem of yours,
yes,
sans the agonizing detail that you are putting into the story.
I was just about getting there. I'm glad you have a hold on the idea of how long it takes to tell a compelling story. Now.
When I was 7.
You're like so, like, patient
Long ago.
and awkward. Like, ugh. He's trying to be so nice.
Now, I imported the soil from this burnt-out area within the northern forest and got it transported here. I planted, well, another one of my projects, as well as a seedling for a tree I hope to one day have in my yard. Not as part of my award-winning displays, mind you, but simply because I enjoy arbory. Now, there is something that occurred. After a week of this seedling being within the soil, it grew to an outrageous size. And I'm not talking the size of your horned friend. No, I speak of a tree much larger than that.
Uh-huh.
It is that one. And he points in the back, and you can just see, like, this 30-foot tall tree just kind of, like, branches sprawling out over his backyard, kind of blotting out any of the sun that would be trying to get into his yard.
Can I make a nature check?
Yep.
+2, proficient, +4. Yeah! 18.
Okay, and what are you hoping to achieve with this nature check?
Identifying the tree.
So with the 18, you would know this to be, it looks like an oak tree, but it is much darker in coloration than you are used to seeing them. And this is even having grown up in the temple that was in a much thicker, older part of the woods. This is like a deeper brown than you are used to seeing coming from a tree. And it's the leaves themselves are a dark green to the point where they almost look a little like, if it was dark out, you might assume that these were black leaves on a tree, but they just seem very deep green. And none of them seem to have they don't seem to have changed their color at all, even though it is the autumnal season. But it is still a leafy tree, not necessarily like a pine tree that keeps its stuff all year round.
Okay.
And do you have a sample of this soil that you use?
Yes. It's right over here. I ordered a small...
Perchance, could I borrow some alchemy equipment?
I only have equipment used in herbalism. Do you think you could make do?
Could I make do?
Are you, like, what are you really trying to do with your alchemical tools? Or, like, if you have them?
I'm trying to see if there was anything not kosher in the soil.
Yeah, you could use herbalism tools for that to kind of just, like, or at least I think that you would be able to use herbalism, like a mix of herbalism tools and survival to kind of, like, separate it out, because a lot of fertilizer is composed of several parts. Yeah, I think that it would work. I'm the DM, so go for it, buddy.
Okay. Would I be able to add my proficiency from alchemy supplies with that?
I'm gonna say yes, because this is a makeshift alchemy kit. And he, as you ask him for these supplies, he goes over towards where, a little bit farther away from where his up and coming prize plants are going to be, and pulls over a linen bag and reaches down with a small, like, measuring cup and brings it over to you. So, I can escort you to my herbalism kit, or I can either bring it here for you if you and your friends would like to get a better understanding. But at the same time, I really would prefer it if nobody looked at my plants. They're a work of art, and art must be revealed in its own time.
Do whatever you want. Live your best life.
It's your house, man. Just whatever. Can we just get this over with, please?
We're just here to help.
Good Lord.
All right.
Sure, we'll avert our eyes as best as we are able.
So yeah, he says that he'll return abruptly, and so he exits from where you guys are, leaving you alone in this back room.
I go look under the things.
Oh,
Immediately.
I'm gonna go meander over to the oak tree. Back
just gonna,
turn
like,
to Gwen.
Hide in my hood while bad things are happening.
Just to spite this mofo.
Yeah, immediately as he walks out the door, Coriander's just gonna be all like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe what all the hubbub is about. That thing's a sapling compared to what you could find in the Feywild." and then just like go on about like trees and plants and things and how none of this is very impressive at all.
Well, I mean, in the span of 30 days, it's grown 30 feet. Normally, it would take years for that to accomplish.
Oh, 30 days?
Something like that.
30 days. That in 30 days.
That's impressive to me.
He's
I've never-
probably lying.
On the spring aisles, we'd see that in 30 seconds. Just.
And as you snap your fingers, that is when we will have Gwen pull off the sheet.
Well, I just lift it. I don't want to pull it off because
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have to worry about putting it back on. I'm just gonna like.
Okay. You see it just looks like a very nice, pristine bellflower. Like it has a very slender green stalk that goes up to what looks at the start to be kind of a seafoamy blue shade, and then transitions towards a much deeper green towards the tip of the bloom. And you can see inside of it, where the little stems are poking out, that it is just a collection of reds and yellows to really kind of draw focus towards the center of this bell.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. It's just growing like it has
down.
like the asymmetrical leaves kind of growing off of it.
I put the sheet down and I walk away and I go, "Fucking flowers, man."
Are there any flowers or plants in here? Mistletoe, aconite, anything that I would find particularly useful?
Make an investigation check, because this guy does have a lot of
Damn it, it
plants.
was cocked. 4 plus 4 plus 2. It was about to roll in a natural 20, but then it got cocked on the side. I am upsetty. So this is the 6.
Don't get upset. He got spaghetti.
So how much? So you got a
Going up.
6? All right. So with your 6, you're looking around and you feel like the majority of the plants that this guy does have on display are all these weird hybrids that he's made throughout the years as kind of little homages and altars to himself and his own prowess and greatness.
But he cured Finn. Okay, I'll just keep patiently waiting.
Okay.
So what is this job? I mean, like, what exactly are we supposed to do?
And
Oh, yeah, has he even
I'm
said yet?
sure-
He said he needed help with plants.
Like chopping them down and I pull out my axe? Please?
Hopefully.
I
Because
hope.
if we're just here to look at really rather unimpressive trees, then quite frankly, I wish that we had gone and helped the poor fishermen.
Thank you, Cori.
I put my hand on the oak.
oh, okay. So when you exit the glass kind of experimental greenhouse, your first few steps remind you of what it was like kind of growing up in the temple area, or at least what you would assumed it would have been like growing up, being able to leave your area. You feel your feet kind of like clump under the grass, and there is just a sweet smell of nature as there's a mixture of both forest and sea breeze that kind of hits you right into the nose. And you close your eyes and you just kind of let that take you in, and it's in that moment I would like for you to make a perception check. As you're getting all of these smells and everything like that.
18 again.
All right. So you, with your keen elven hearing, you can hear that there is, like, there's a lot of hubbub. You can see that the back of the wall that this guy has for his estate is probably leading over to the merchants district outside that you guys had just come from in order to actually enter into this overlook district. And so you can still hear the commotion from the town is very present in the actual auditory that's going on. But as your ears kind of train in and that becomes background noise, you realize that you don't hear any wildlife back here. And normally with something like a large tree and a bunch of other plants, you would expect there to be either squirrels that had gotten in or birds of some sort, even seagulls just kind of littering around, as there is a plethora of seagulls in this general area. But there doesn't seem to be anything in the actual garden, in the back garden itself. It seems eerily quiet. And you continue forward for, I want to say about 20 feet. You make it almost halfway, 3/4 of the way to this great oak. And you look up, and that is when you start hearing like 4 padded footsteps, just, and coming from behind the tree, you see this, what looks like a dog. And I have to say it looks like a dog because this very much is not a doggo in terms of fur. Maybe in terms of function and design, you could tell that this could be a dog. But it has vines that come down where its arms are. Its back is just this matted mass of peat moss and grass that's sort of growing up around it. You can see when it opens its mouth that it just has these thorns that come down where its teeth would be, and it just looks at you and starts snarling as you begin to approach this tree.
Guys?
And did you let them know that you were heading out to touch the oak?
No, it was like as like everyone was, as this man the gnome leaves, everyone disperses. So like,
okay,
Caelum like just wandered over to the oak.
Essentially, the guy said, "Don't touch anything," and then as soon as he left the room, everybody went to go touch something.
So
Yep.
yeah. So I would like for the 3 of you that remained inside of the experimental greenhouse to roll perception checks as Caelum begins yelling, "Guys!"
die.
outside.
9.
6.
Oh, I'm dead.
Oh, natural 1.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so I'm gonna be next time we meet, Eberron is gonna be out. I'll be playing a Gearforge, or Warforge.
All right, so
Oh,
yeah.
look, this flower's actually interesting.
It's a
This flower
fucking
kinda looks like
plant,
Caelum.
Corey. It's a plant.
So yeah, you are yelling, "Guys!" Everyone else is talking amongst themselves in the room, and that is when this gnome wanders back in, and he looks at the 3 of you. "So I've brought you your herbalism. Where is your friend?
We're all right here.
Where is Grey One?" And you
So,
guys,
his name is Caelum, and it's actually very important for you to remember people's names. Mr. I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Sten Fazeno, award-winning arborist.
Jade. Love it.
I'm gonna start looking. I'm gonna get as far away from this guy as possible and start looking for Caelum.
Okay, so as he asks, "Where is your friend?" Gwen, you turn around and you can see that Caelum has wandered out into the backyard and is standing roughly 30 feet away from where you guys are in this experimental greenhouse, and is roughly 20 feet away from where this large tree is in the back of Sten's yard.
He's just looking at the tree. I'm gonna start walking that way.
"You
just
need
like
to get
Cash.
inside. You need to get your friend inside. It is not safe to be outside while that tree and those things are there. Please."
Wait, what? Wait. Thanks.
Oh, it isn't? Cori's just gonna face step right next to Caelum.
Okay. So you face step next to Caelum, and you can also see this grass vine dog that seems to be snarling at Caelum roughly 15 feet away. So Gwen and Blake, what are you guys doing?
Hi.
Can I see anything out there? I can't see the creature.
Not from where you are standing.
Okay. I'm just gonna be like, what? Well, what is it? Like, as I'm casually walking out there, like, I don't feel like this is a big deal. He probably
The
feels like it's a big
fertilizer
deal.
caused horrible creatures to grow from it and have been terrorizing the animals that would normally inhabit my yard.
Like, terrible for you or terrible for, like, a normal
And we
person?
kill them.
And he just goes, yes, I would like to see them all removed, especially things that look like that.
Blake cuts his hand.
Will you
That
stop that,
rude?
man? That's really unsanitary.
That
And that's coming from me.
I can make you a poultice.
And sets his crossbow on fire.
I don't know what that is.
That is, you know what, maybe...
Counterproductive thing.
And he just sort of like, he takes a few steps so that way he's standing between you and his plant that has been covered with the, with the,
The sheep.
yeah, with the sheet. And he says, I would prefer it if you took your fire and your weapons out there and helped your friend.
He's already walking that way.
Okay.
Just to be clear, are we killing things or not killing things?
It's hard to kill if you don't know if it's alive. Right now, let's just say it's some gardening. And his
Okay.
hands are just like outstretched, still blocking people from
All right,
going
whatever,
near his
dude.
plant.
And I'm gonna turn around and like jog outside.
All right. And it is at that point that I would like for all of us to roll initiative.
Yay!
Dun 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 dun.
Battle
Oh,
music.
You rolled a 2
Dun.
last time. You don't get to be rolled again. Go with
You
try to-
betrayed me.
For the last
last
time.
Oh, it wasn't bad.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Okay. Hey guys. Just so you know, I love you guys.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
That's never a good thing to hear.
It's
Oh,
all
God,
right.
it's a smiling DM.
You had smiling DM.
It's K. It's
No, it's
K.
not.
Alrighty.
Chat, help us.
Can we get some Fs for respect in the chat?
Press F to pay respects. Tune in next week because we'll have a whole new cast.
Woo!
No,
It's a new dawn.
second
Newer
dawn.
Donner.
Okay, and then do. So, what is everyone's initiative order?
17.
Okay.
12.
Okay.
4.
Oof.
Oh, hey, 4.
I only got it right.
We're both so surprised by this doggo.
I think you go first either way, though.
My dex is 13.
My dex is a -1, so yeah.
Aw.
Worth it.
Worth it.
I'm here to save you.
Alrighty, so with that, so Blake, you walk out of this house and you are followed with Gwen in tow. Both of you just sort of more like walking with purpose towards this tree and your other friends. When you see the ground under, from about 10 feet behind Cori and Caelum, just sort of writhe together as these vines just sort of start seeping out from different bushes and different plants and from under the ground themselves as they twist and turn into a humanoid shape that just sort of stands still connected into the ground, and it puts its arms into the ground in front of it as more vines race into it. And Cori and Caelum, I would like for you guys to make strength saving throws.
Ah.
Ah,
Oh, okay.
you're going away into the dice jail, little one.
Ooh, I was
It
beginning
rolled
to
the same
worry.
thing.
I was beginning to worry I couldn't roll higher than a 10, but that is, this is a strength save, right?
Yes.
That's 16 for me.
That's a 6 for me.
All right. So,
Cool.
Cori, as these roots just shoot up from underneath you, attempting to grab at your legs and your arms and kind of like restrain you, you manage to actually fight this off, and it seems like your connection with nature is enough to actually like will it back into the ground as it tries to come up against you. So it feels more like a contest of wills, even though it was a strength-based save. However, our dear boy Caelum. So
What's a plant?
So currently the area around this plant blight is all difficult terrain in a 15-foot range around this guy. And you are restrained.
Blech.
And you can use your action to make a DC 12 strength check to free yourself or another entangled creature. So, you are currently restrained as these plant vines just sort of writhe up from behind you and just catch you. Like, it wraps your arms tight against your body so you don't have access to your shield. And you can feel that your legs have just been planted into the ground. You hear from Gwen and Blake, you hear from behind you through what sounds like glass, the voice of Sten Fizeno saying, "That's one of those things that really needs to get the hell out of my garden."
Cool. Sweet.
So
Ready for
that
this.
is that thing's turn. Next up is Blake. What is your dexterity? I feel like it's good since you're a crossbowman.
My dexterity is 16.
All right, so that's definitely better. So you get to go. It is your turn.
Right. So I am taking a shot at this blight that has just entangled my friend.
Okay.
We're friends.
Not you.
Oh.
We're friends confirmed.
Does a 12 hit?
Friend confirmed.
A 12 just hits.
Ooh.
Bless.
You didn't cast that spell.
As in,
Not
I
yet.
really need that. Oh shit! I rolled double ones. So I'm on the way here. I've been like loading my crossbow. That same dark red flame. Which, if you've ever burned lithium chloride in a flame, that's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I take a shot at it and do 4 points of piercing damage and 1 point of fire damage.
Okay. It does not react well to the fire damage. I mean, like, it does react well to fire damage in that it's made of plant. But it doesn't react well in that it does not like the fact that you did that. So, you don't necessarily hear it cry out, but you hear the sound of these vines writhing intensify as it gets hit with this crossbow bolt in its back. And at that point, you see from underneath different bushes and shrubs that wooden forms start to take place as these tiny sized wooden creatures that look like a very villainous Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. But with like really twisted faces rather than it being the little cute guy. And there are roughly 4 of them. And they begin rushing up towards Caelum and Cori as they have been snared by this trap from their viney friend. So they are going to attack Caelum, and I am going to assume that a 7 doesn't hit.
Thankfully, no.
All right, what about a 21?
No, yeah.
Okay, that one is going to deal 3 points of piercing damage as its little hand juts forward and it kind of twists into a spike and just jabs you right into the calf.
Is this revenge for the little guys in that one shot I did?
What? No. No, completely unrelated. And I definitely had this adventure planned before I played your adventure. So that is 2 of them, but then there are still 2 more that are going to try and swing out at you. Actually, the other 2 will strike out at Cori because they would have come from both sides. So Cori does a 19 hit.
Just hits, yes.
Okay, so that 19, there's my d4. You get dealt 2 points of piercing damage as this little guy goes up to try and put his hand into your calf, kind of like he did with Caelum, but it catches on your armor. And so his, like, the top part of his hand kind of gets shaved off as he's made of very brittle wood as he kind of tries to jab at you.
Ayo.
Little balsa wood stabber. So next up is going to be the doggo, actually, who was snarling and barking at Caelum, but seeing...
So there's a plant person,
Yes.
a plant doggo, and then 4 plants of the little
Yes.
broody. Okay, got it.
Yes. All right, so the plant doggo is going to charge up against Cori and try and do a bite against you. And he does not do a bite. It is very ineffective in terms of bitiness. So he sort of bites out against you, but as his teeth, like, he gets onto your arm, but as his thorn-like teeth clench into your arm, the thorns just kind of break and fall off. And he, like, pops back and kind of shakes his head a little bit, and then he starts growling as more teeth start growing in to make up for the thorns that he had previously lost. So, next up, Gwen. You see that there is a man made of vines, and then the 2 little evil Groots on both sides of your elven friends, as well as a doggo. There is also starting 5 feet in front of you is this very viney ground that seems to have sprung up around the humanoid.
Okay. So I mean, I guess not meta-ing, I'm gonna be moving like at half speed if I go through the...
Yes, you would be moving at half speed.
Okie dokie. I am going to... I mean, I'm gonna move through it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go in a straight line as far as I can.
Okay.
Can I get to someone with a 25-foot...
So you would get about 5 feet away from the vine guy, because otherwise you would have to run all the way around his area, and you would be about 10 feet from one of the other guys. So regardless of where you go, you're going to be short.
Okay, then I'm just gonna go. Oh, sorry, I keep hitting my mic. I'm gonna go for the plant doggo.
Okay.
I'm gonna head for him, and I can't rage because I can't attack, right? Okay, so no, I'm not gonna rage. I'm just gonna go as far as I can through this brush.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Fucking plants! Goddamn gnomes! God fucking damn it! That's it.
All of your least favorite things.
I know, right?
All right, so if you would like, you could dash as...
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so you can get right up on to the dog, you said?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yeah, you are right up on the dog, and you see that the vine creature doesn't even take notice of you as you walk by.
Okay.
Like, just doesn't seem...
Ones or the big one?
The big one doesn't really seem to pay much attention. The little ones are too busy just trying to go knife hands into your elven friends' calves.
As far as raging goes, if I rage, I have to attack this turn, right? So I can't rage and then attack next turn.
If you rage, your rage persists if you attack or if you take damage, so you can try and bank on one of these guys trying to hit you, or you can save it until next turn.
No, I would like to rage. I would like the tiny rage, please.
All right, excellent. Make an intimidation check as you rage and just start yelling out.
All right. Not terrible. That's not what I need. Intimidation is 13.
Okay. So we'll see. All right. So some of these little guys definitely seem to kind of like shirk back, but the creature made of vines just doesn't register that anything has changed. But that is it for you. The dog also seems nonplussed by your tiny rage.
That's fine.
Next up,
You'll find out.
next up, our own C team, Caelum and Cori.
Hello. It's Cori first.
I'm gonna try and take out one of these little groups with a swad. So let's see how that goes. Oh, that's actually pretty good. How about a 22?
22 totally hits.
Alrighty, let me just grab a D8 here, which I totally have at the ready, and it's not in a pile.
For shame.
Come here, you. Oh, max damage. Overkill. 10 slashing damage for that poor little group.
So you bring your sword up, and it's like dropping a small wooden toy off of a very tall thing while also going very fast. Like, it never stood a chance. It just shatters and turns to splinters as your sword connects. Like, you don't even get your full follow through before it fully explodes.
Firewood.
Splinter in the eye.
Meanwhile, I don't know. Like, does this doggo seem like it's protecting something? Is it like I don't know. I don't know what to do here. I've got a feeling about this dog.
Okay, make an insight check against Pupper.
Okay, Pupper, what are your secrets?
Oh, mighty zebra butt.
That's not very good, actually. Never mind. I'm murdering this dog. 3.
Okay, so your insight... He seems to be a plant-like construct in the shape of a dog.
Aggressive doggo.
Seems bitey.
Remove. Quite bitey.
Yeah.
Alright. That's it for me.
Alrighty. Sounds good. Caelum, you are currently restrained.
Don't like. Do not like. I'm gonna try to break out.
Okay. Make strength check.
I want to break free. That's... What is going on? That's another 18. That's really weird math.
So yeah, you managed to just break off of you managed to break out of these vines super easy. It was more like the initial kind of jump of seeing these small little murder woodeny guys show up like made you like shirk away a little bit, but that was actually strong enough to just tear out of the vines that had once constricted you. And then the ones that are like lying like around your arms and around your chest, you just easily tear off and free yourself.
I pull out my spear and shield.
Okay.
And I ready up.
Sounds good. So, it is then time for the Viney Boy's turn. And he's great. So what he is going to do is that he is going to stand forward, or he's going to move forward 5 feet, rear an arm back, and then just shoot his hand forward. And as he does, you see a bunch of these other vines also just extend out of his hand and go to wrap around Cori this time.
Yeah.
So Cori, I would like for you, wait just a second. And we shall see. So, I'm guessing a 14 does not hit you.
No.
All right. So, he goes to try and hit you with his vines, but you just bring up your shield and then completely sideswat it. So, his arm actually moves off to the side and you see it go into a bush and kind of envelop that bush a little bit and then retract back onto his body. And he doesn't move any closer to the rest of you guys. He's perfectly comfortable, being some kind of time back. Being about 10 or 5 feet, like being about 10 feet away from you guys. Wait, that was the wrong dice. This one. Awesome. Okay, and next up is Blake and 2 of these little balsa wood guys.
Don't like.
Geometry question.
Sure.
How many of these would you say would be standing within a 30-foot line?
Asks the Dragonborn.
I would say you could get 2 of them into a line that didn't involve hitting your party members.
3 if you want to hit your party members.
3 if you wanted to hit your party members.
Which party member?
It would be
Gwen? Question mark.
It would be Caelum.
Oh.
Yeah.
It would be Caelum because Cori would have done it normally, but like you could have chosen either. But because Cori dealt with one of the little guys that was right there, then you would have to hit Caelum in order to do it. Or
No. I will ask for 2 dexterity saving throws, please.
okay.
Okay. What do I have to hit?
Put your dice away.
All right. So they got a 17 and a 19 on the die.
Damn it. So they both succeed, but they take half of 9 points of acid damage. As I look over and see the little boys, and I spit some acid in their way.
Sounds good.
Hack patootie.
And that's my turn.
All right. So how much acid, or does it deal any damage?
It's half of 9.
Okay.
Which I guess is 4.
Yes. So you were hitting the vine guy, and then you were hitting one of the little balsas, or were you hitting 2 of the balsa wood guys?
Let me get Vine Guy in it.
Okay. So yeah, the little balsa wood guy, he just like grabs at his face as the acid starts eating at it, and then he stops moving and just collapses back onto the ground and just sort of sinks into a quick mulch. Where the viney guy, you hear that like quickening of writhing, and then he turns his whole body to look directly at you. As he
Load another
as he
crossbow.
does. Yep, sounds good. Another bolt.
You load a crossbow into your crossbow.
Entire another crossbow.
This gun shoots guns, baby.
Who are you, Torg?
Yes. So yeah, then it is the remainder of these little stabby boys' turn, and they are going to they don't want to fight against the little rager who just showed up. They are scared. They feel like it's a bad choice. So they are going to attempt to stab at the 2 armored ones that were right next to them.
Why me?
Okay, so the one against Cori got a nat 20,
Great.
and then the one against Caelum got an 18 on the die.
Oh, sorry, it hits.
So Cori, you take 8 points of piercing damage.
Holy crap.
And then Caelum, you are going to take 5 points of piercing damage.
Oh boy.
I have 2 hit points, my friends.
Me too.
Hey!
They just
Yeah.
go to like little knife hands. And it,
Tanks are about to go down.
and at this point, one of the ones that had its little knife hand actually where last time when it stabbed up at you, Cori, its predecessor and brother ? When it went to stab, it shaved off half of its fingers, but this one tilts its hand sideways and just gets right under your armor and just jabs you right into the leg. With Caelum, this one kind of like hooks around like he's just doing a tiny little haymaker, and he just jams his fingers directly into the back of your calf, as he is just a little tiny boy, and so he can't exactly hit you higher past that point.
Thankfully.
Yes. Then next up is our doggo friend, and the doggo, however, he saw this thing kind of howl at him directly, and so he is going to attempt to do a bite against our barbarian. All right, so 19 on the die.
Yes, that definitely hits.
All right.
I thought you said he attempts to mate.
No, he's doing a bite.
What?
I didn't know we were playing with this rule set.
Yeah, right,
Roll for vapors.
Yeah.
All right, so he is going to deal 4 points of piercing damage, which reduced to 2 because you're raging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, so next up is our dear friend Gwen.
Let's fuck some shit up. Alright, I'm gonna pull out I have my battle axe and my hand axe. My battle axe is in my good hand, my hand axe is my other hand. And I'm going to attempt to strike at this doggo.
Okay.
Cool. So first attack with the battle axe is a 11.
Okay. Need to check something because my tablet just died.
Oh no.
That's why we keep books. Physical media in the age of the digital. That does not hit.
Okay.
His AC.
And then I'm going to try to hit him with my hand axe. With my offhand.
Do it.
Which is worse.
Okay. Sounds
so
good.
I just go to try and hit him. There's a bunch of shit around me. Hard, okay, guys?
Mm-hmm.
I'm up to here in vines.
All right, so next up is Caelum and Cori. Or Cori first and then Caelum.
Alright, I do believe. Okay, what kind of an action? Is Caelum still grappled?
No,
he's free.
he's been freed.
Oh, okay. Alright.
I can do stuff.
I believe that it is a standard action for me to lay on hands, but boy howdy do I need it, so I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm just gonna lay on hands on myself and gain back 5 hit points.
Okay.
And then just a quick check of what is around me. How many tiny Groots do we got left?
2.
2 Groots, a doggo, and a vine monster. Alright.
Yep.
Alright, that's it for me.
Alrighty, Caelum.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch myself with my...
Not the
Cure
time.
Will. Wait, that's a D12. This is a D8. Oh, hey, max. So I'm at full again.
Nice.
Yay.
Hey!
Son, I am proud.
I am a glutton for punishment. Please don't hurt me. Can I do anything as a bonus action? I can run away, but that's a dick move. Yeah, I'll stand back to back with Cori.
Okay. You try and step back to back, but you kind of like step onto Gwen a little bit because they had placed themselves directly between the two of you.
Sorry. I didn't see that. That's not a short joke, I swear.
And when you look down,
God,
Gwen is
Caelum.
like eyes bulging, bloodshot. Just, what the fuck did you say? Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm just really stressed right now.
Rage monster.
All right, so it is time for the Viney Boy, and the Viney Boy is going to turn and extend his arm out to try and hook our dear friend Blake with his vine hands. He gets a 16 on the die. Does that hit?
That hits.
Okay. Oof. So he is going to deal 13 points of bludgeoning damage.
Blake's down.
Okay.
No! Wait, what?
Blake's down.
Well, that is a lot of HP being slung.
He's a strong boy.
He is a strong boy.
Big boy.
All right. Next up are the little tiny guys, and the little tiny guys are going to try and stab up at one of them is going to try and stab at the barbarian, as they're very loud and it scares them. Does a 12 hit? All right, awesome.
No.
The second guy is going to try and hit Caelum. Does a 10 hit? I'm guessing no.
No, I have a shield.
You're rolling so poorly.
I have a shield now.
They
Yay.
got really bad. Blake, I would like for you to make a death saving throw.
Oh.
Not good.
No! Level 1, guys!
Level 1's scary, man.
It is.
It's a horrifying place. Alright, so next up is going to be the doggo, who's going to bite out against the barbarian.
He's gonna try.
An 8, I don't think, does it. No.
Nope.
But next up is Gwen.
I'm not focused on anything that's happening behind me, so I am going to do a double attack again. Hopefully with a more, with a better outcome this time. That was a 2. You know what? I'm gonna use luck because you know what? Why not? So that is
Good time for it.
right. Jesus. Okay, that's an 18 plus 4. I can do this shit.
Okay.
Get the fucking dog out of here. That is 9 damage to the doggo
Okay.
with one of my attacks. And my other attack with my that was my battle axe and then my hand axe. That's another 18.
Yes!
18!
Yes! Oh, I just hit it and it went to a 4, but it wasn't 18.
Still counts. Still counts.
Still counts. So that's plus 2. That is a 6.
Oh, yeah. So, how are you bringing down doggo?
Oh man, I'm just like, he bit me. These things are they're trying to get me, and I just like take my hand axe and I'm gonna like hit him in the back of the head, and then I'm gonna take my hand axe and like hit it in farther with like the bottom of it.
Like a hammer? Like a hammer?
Yes.
Ugh.
Just like a hammer.
That's horrifying.
I'm sorry, I'm really good at describing really gruesome
I
things.
love it.
Make a sad dog noise.
Oh, please don't make it make a sad dog noise.
No, it didn't make any noise. It just sort of like turns to mulch on the ground, just like a sprawling pool of just plant matter.
Okay, and then I'm gonna turn to the little duders next to me. Right, there's still the 2.
Yeah, there's still 2, and they were on Cori and Caelum.
Right, I'm just gonna turn to them like eyes red and just like, you're next, fuckers.
Do they know what you're saying?
I don't know. It's a good question.
They know what you're saying.
I'm gonna say
They
it in
know what you
Goliath
mean.
anyways.
It's not for them, it's for her.
Yeah. It's for me.
All right. Next up, Cori and Caelum. You have watched these doggo monsters, or this dog monster, get swatted into the ground, and then you heard a 6'8", 200+ pound being just kind of collapse onto the ground after making a very exasperated noise. As when you turn around, you see that Blake is lying on the ground with his crossbow in hand. And the vine creature is with its back to you.
I'll turn to Cori and go, I've got it!
Yeah, Cori was just about to basically tell him to do exactly what he's about to do. So she just nods at him and she gets out a javelin and chucks it at the vine monster.
Okay.
At the same time, Caelum's gonna do the Blessing of the Raven Queen to next to Blake, and then you cast Cure Wounds on him.
Nice.
18.
All right, so 18 totally hits. Roll for damage.
Alright, that's gonna be 6 piercing damage.
Woo!
So, how much?
And then Coriander, like, yells at him to get his attention, like, over here! You overgrown celery stalk!
And he does turn to look at you where the attack just came from.
Cool.
Everything's fine.
Okay.
So I coup de grace heal him for.
Caelum's the darkest of us
I'm the
all.
pro tag.
This is my story.
There's only room for one god here.
I heal him for 7 and 310.
Okay. So you get healed for 10 points of damage.
That's almost my max.
Nice.
It's not your time, dragon.
All right, so next up is this vine creature, and it is very upset with what Cori just did, so it is going to try and swing out against Cori once more with its viney hand. Does a boop-a-doop-a-doo. Loading screens are fine.
D&D Beyond.
D&D Beyond, everybody.
Beyond.
Yes,
That's
it
the
is. Does a
Beyond.
14 hit?
No.
All right, sweet. So once again, he reaches out with his hand, vines shoot out, and you just quickly deflect them. Like this guy's being pretty aggressive for fair reason. You guys have been attacking him. He's been attacking you, and the entire time just from the back, you see that Sten Fazeno has had his nose up against the glass, just watching intently. But like, at one point, you see like a hand go down and pull up a small piece of popcorn and like put it into his mouth while he's watching. So that is his turn. Then it is time for the two little balsa boys. And they are horrified of this gnome that just threatened them, or this halfling that just threatened them. Sorry. I know.
One more time, man. One more time.
You're gonna fly out here and break my
One-
knees.
Knock, knock, knock. Hey, boom.
Indoor adventurer live here? Who? That guy right there, just like rushed past.
FBI!
All right.
I'm doing D and drugs in here.
Does a 20 hit?
Me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. He is
Sorry, I
going
just
to
got so
deal
upset about
3 points of piercing damage, which cut in half. And the other is going to try and stab you as well. And he gets a 9 on his stab, so that does not work. Next up is Blake. You have just the last thing you remember was getting grabbed by this viney hand, and then you wake up on the ground with Caelum above you, putting magic into your body to heal you.
So I just see this sentinel of death standing above me.
Yeah.
It's like the black eyes, pale skin. You're not gonna die today.
And then the face of the lizard Grim Reaper just staring back at you.
What an odd sight.
I'm gonna just reach out, grab your hand, and like pull myself back up.
Yeah.
Take my crossbow back out and try to kill this vine blight.
Do
hopefully.
it.
I need a DM ruling.
Sure.
Did my Crimson Right fade whenever I went unconscious? Because I can't find a rule for that.
I am going to say yes.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes because it's tied to like you being able to control your blood in order to do that. And so once you go unconscious, you kind of lose that base level of control.
Okay, do I get that hit point back then?
Yes.
Cool.
Unless it was from your hit point maximum?
It was.
Okay. Then you... Yeah, you would get it. I would say you would get it back because because the effect wore off.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's not gonna hit.
Okay. Sound good. We're not the best, but
Good for me.
good.
Hey, DM question.
But I'm gonna cut my hand and activate their right again.
Okay. And then, RJ, you had a question.
When the person blight came up, did the area of like bad ground move up with him, or it stayed?
It stayed. Yeah, he seemed to have just kind of set it in an area and then began moving through it, but it didn't move along with him.
Set and forget.
Yep, it is not a traveling AoE.
Those are like 5th level.
Then next up is Gwen.
Okay, I have the little blighty things next to me, and then the viney dude.
Yes.
Okay.
The viney dude is...
He's not close to me, though.
No.
Yeah. Okay, I am going to attack the little duders then.
Okay.
I'll go for... Do I have to move to get... I mean, if I need to position myself between them, I will. I'm going to kind of like...
It would just be like a 5-foot step forward.
Yeah, yeah.
They were attacking you.
Is Cori still there?
Yeah, Cori is still standing next to you.
Okay, I'm going to get in front of her.
Okay.
I'm going to place myself in front of her.
Sure. Yeah,
Not 'cause I like
and you can still you manage to do it in a way that doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity or anything against you. Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm going to attack.
Okay.
Raging. That's a 13.
Okay. 13 hits.
Okay, that's with my battle axe, and that's 6 damage.
Okay.
To one of them.
Yep.
And
it shatters underneath your axe.
Okay, and then my hand axe, I'm gonna use that on the other one, and that's a 16 plus 4, 20.
Yep.
It's a dirty 20. I like that term.
Dirty 20.
And that max damage 6 plus 2.
All right. Yeah, that one also shatters under your weapon as you strike out against it. So you just shatter these 2 little wood guys as you go to pseudo protect Cori.
And then I'm gonna move towards the tree, because I assume the tree is controlling all of this, because I don't know. And I have my axes in hand. Like, I'm just gonna take this shit out.
Okay.
I got this, guys.
It is a very large tree, but
I'm very
I like the gusto. So next up are our elven pair.
Coriander's gonna kind of beat her sword against her shield, and then she's going to charge the Vine Blight as best she can.
Okay.
Can she get all the way to the Vine Blight?
Yeah, he was 10 feet away from where you were, so you would have to use 20 feet of movement to get up to him, but you have 30-foot move speed, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal.
Perf.
Not a bad issue.
I'm gonna try and long sword that guy.
Do it.
Ooh, that might hit. 17.
17 does hit.
Woo! All right, here comes some slashing damage. That's gonna be 4 slashing damage.
Okay. Yeah. So your blade cuts up, and you can see that a lot of the vines on this guy have been damaged and injured and burned and pierced with a bunch of it. Like, you guys are going all out against this creature, and it is definitely showing the signs of wear and tear that you would expect from something that is nearly at death's door.
Got it.
Caelum.
In response, Caelum's gonna beat his spear against his shield, and then run forward, shield out, spear out, and just try to skewer it.
Okay.
Like from the back side, front side.
It would be backside because it's currently facing Cori.
Backside. 15?
15 hits.
5 damage. Piercing.
All right. Caelum.
Oh boy.
Pierce or twist the threads of your fate. Your destiny is your own. How are you doing this?
So as basically Cori goes for the 1, Caelum comes in for the 2 as he like pushes his spear through the back and out and like lifts it sort of like, okay, it's too heavy. Back down.
Okay. Sounds good. So yeah, Blake, you just see Caelum come down, shield twice, and then just rush forward. And like some of the other blood hunters that you learned with, that you kind of grew up around, a few of them used the spear, And you can tell that Caelum doesn't necessarily have the best form, but his heart is there. And in this moment, it's kind of weird. You see that his hand goes from kind of being unsteady to just cinches up, almost like it was always meant to go in that exact moment. And he rushes forward without a moment's hesitation and just jams this thing through. And you guys all watch, except for Gwen, who is not really caring or paying attention at this point. I'll just sort of, like, you watch as Caelum just takes down this vine creature. And we are now out of initiative, except for Gwen, who is going to attack a tree.
Yes, I am. Would you like me to roll for it?
Yeah.
2 20s, 2 nat
All right,
20s.
yeah.
Go for it.
Do it.
18 and 7 with my hand axe.
Okay, so the
But it
18
is a
hits.
tree.
18 hits. The 7 does not, because its bark is very thick.
Oh, okay. So that's, oh geez, 4, I think 2? Oh God, I thought there was a cat in here for a second. Yeah, so that's 6. I saw my thing and I was like, what the fuck did another cat get in here? So that's 6 damage.
Okay. So yeah, your axe sinks in, but it doesn't go as far as you think that it would. Like, you've taken your rage out on a few trees, like,
Who has
as you do. Go out to the woods, just beat a tree up. What's it gonna do? Tell its friends? So yeah, you go and just sink your axe into this thing, and that's when you hear coming from the inside, just no! It's like this gnome is just crying, like hands like kind of beating against the windows.
Okay. I thought you said there was a gnome inside the tree. I was like, where are we going?
It was going to be a surprise, like a birthday cake.
Oh my God.
Gnome stripper, no.
Oh no.
No, ma'am. That's
Oh,
canceled.
no.
Oh no.
That's it. Show's over. Everyone go home.
I am home.
Me too.
Oh shit. I'm gonna hit it again.
All right. So yeah, you go to hit this, and the 3 of you just see Gwen just going to town on this tree.
I sit down on the grass, pull out like a pouch of snacks, and just like,
Yeah. So at that point,
I'll go up.
Okay.
I will go up and try to just like put a hand on Gwen's shoulder.
I turn around and I'm like, what?
I don't think we're here to fight that particular plant.
But this caused that, right? So this is the problem.
I'm gonna look back at the gnome.
Yeah.
Get it?
and he's coming out at this point, and just sort of like stepping over the bodies of these, like the mulchy piles that once were bodies, and he says, "No. The tree was never the problem. It was the soil. Did you not hear a word I said about the dirt I had imported?"
Nope. Sorry about your tree.
Right. That herbalism kit.
"I had it. I still have it back there in the greenhouse, if you would like to come with. I actually had time to go around and look for my friend's alchemist kit."
I would actually like to examine this tree. Oh, by the way, good job, Caelum. That was amazing. She'll kind of pat him on the shoulder and then walk over to that tree.
Wings are kind of low.
Oh, am I?
Yes.
Ooh. I'm going to use divine sense with this tree, mechanically anyhow, but physically, Coriander is gonna walk over to the tree and just kind of put a hand on it, and do nature things to it.
Okay. Sounds good. So you are doing nature things. Gwen, you are huffing and just like your rage kind of simmers down
Yeah,
now that other people have kind of like stopped you from attacking an inanimate object. As well as your gnomish friend associate. Yeah, Sten has kind of alleviated the situation a little bit, and he is just sort of looking around and kind of says, "Did you get the 4 smaller ones? I can only find 2 tiny bodies."
Yeah, they got disintegrated. And I'm gonna go up to the mulch piles that I was in charge of, the ones that I took out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take a little bit of each one, and I'm gonna put in each individual pocket of my 100 pocket outfit. I'm gonna put one in each.
Okay.
As a trophy.
Make a perception check as you go to grab piles of mulch.
Okay. I rolled an 11 plus perception 2, so 13.
Okay. So as you're grabbing at these little pieces of dirt and mulch, you go and pick up a few, and you stuff the first one in fine, and then you go to the body of. Are you going to the vine creature or just the ones that you killed? Okay, so you go to You go to the dog shaped thing, and when you go and pull a piece of mulch back, there's actually a little bit of resistance as you pull it, and then you hear a small little noise of tension giving, and you look down and you can just see that there is this black worm that then just kind of sidles back into the mulch. Looked like it was eating it.
This stuff is worm infested.
That's a sign of good dirt.
Why, thank you. I'm glad somebody paid attention when I was discussing my quality dirt.
Oh no, that was just general knowledge. I kind of faded out after the whole, it came from the north.
Well, regardless. So yeah, he will escort Blake back to get the alchemist's kit. Caelum, you are having some snacks. Gwen, you were talking with this guy and collecting bits of mulch, and Cori, you are using your divine sense on this great tree that stands in the back of Sten Fazeno's yard.
Great.
All right, so you don't get the sense of fae or undeath or fiend or any kind of vile intent directly from the tree, but you just get this kind of feeling like the hairs on the back of your neck start to stand. But being a paladin, you start paying attention to the direction that your hairs are actually kind of pointing towards, sort of like a little magnet, a little bit of like a divining process to kind of hollow in, and you take a few deep breaths as well, and you just get this very earthy scent. And you look to the right of where the tree was, and you can see that there is about a 10 by 10 plot of land that just has this very dark, rich, earthy colored soil in it. And you can see that it's kind of been spattered, kind of spread around a little bit as well. But a lot of the plants that are growing up from out of this soil just don't look right. Even walking through this guy's house, you saw a lot of very strange, very differently colored and styled plants, but these don't seem to be of the same aesthetic that Sten seems to be going for. They're a lot more jagged. It almost seems like they have spines on them. Plants that shouldn't have thorns have tiny little thorns growing off the sides of them. The kind that looked more like nettle thorns, like you wouldn't necessarily be able to prick them off one by one, but if you put your hand on it, they would sink into your fingers. And you get a sense that this is the soil that was imported, other than the soil that helped to grow this large tree. And I think that is where we will go for our first break, as all of you have gotten, as we have gotten out of our first round of combat. That wasn't some people in a couple paper mache masks trying to rob a bar. No, it was villainous plants the whole time. But thank you all for sticking with us this far. We're going to try and be back in about 10-15 minutes. And when we come back, I will also have a kind of announcement, which will be cool. So stay tuned for announcements and more game, and we will see you guys shortly. All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Indoor Adventurers stream with all of these wonderful people that have decided to join in. And I would like to say the announcement. That show's canceled. You guys can go home. No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
I'm kidding.
bye,
I'm kidding.
Buddy.
And done. Yep, we're good.
Yeah.
All right. No, the thing is that at about an hour and a half through this stream, I got a notification, and we hit affiliate, gang. We did it. We can start doing all of the great things. So you can look forward to emojis and little subscription notifications, and me being like, hey, it'd be really cool if you subscribe, but it doesn't matter. As long as you come by and hang out and watch the show, that's the part that counts. I really enjoy I enjoy doing this. And I'm glad that I have been able to find 4 absolutely amazing other people who also enjoy doing this thing. Whatever this is, I like to think that we do it well. So, with that in mind, yay us. And let us go to the next stage of your guys' tragic gardening accident that seems to have righted itself. Which,
Tragic.
if you guys didn't know, that was the name of the quest that Blake had. He may not have told you what the names of the quests were, but a tragic gardening accident was the name of this one.
I don't remember names.
Yep.
But you gotta keep notes, bruh.
I have them all. You still have 2 of the other contracts. But that is time for another day. So, Blake, you have been, Sten says for you to wait in the greenhouse, and after about 2 minutes or so, he comes back with a small alchemist's kit. It is very much not a lab or anything like that, or even like a little stationary briefcase that he opens up and it has all the things, but it just seems very much that this is actually geared towards gardening, and actually has a little pH scale in it. It has water drops that you could dilute the soil into to help get the exact right levels for what this guy is what he was trying to do. And he tells you, you know what? You can keep this if you would like. I really don't need it. I'm friends with... one of my friends is from the Alchemists Guild. I can easily just have him either come over and help me with my soil, or I can get him to give me another one. So please. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
add 1 Alchemist's kit. And then you can put in quotes around that, botany. So for the purposes of plant-based alchemy stuff, which is more like, again, like figuring out soil compositions and everything, that will count as you having expertise rather than just a regular proficiency.
Ooh.
Nice.
Okay. And do I have a sample of the soil?
Yeah,
at
you
my
would have.
disposal?
I would say that during this time you would have. He actually had samples of the soil in the greenhouse, so he gives that to you, and he clears off some room, delicately moving some flowers off of a table, moving some books back to a proper spot on the shelf, and just generally making sure that you have enough space that you would need. Although it is a little bit of a downer because he is a small person. So everything in this house is built out for somebody of his size and not necessarily somebody who is 6'8". Even like all of the doorways you have just had to duck through going through this house.
Don't, Gandalf.
Yeah, so can I make a wisdom alchemy
Yes.
check to just see like what was the bad juju in the soil?
Yeah, go for it.
It's cocked. So sorry. 10.
Okay.
I rolled a 4.
Can I assist?
I'm going to say yes because you were outside previously eating snacks, but I feel like as soon as you heard something that wasn't talking to a tree or picking up dead parts out of mulch bodies, you were probably like, yeah, I'm going with Blake to do some science stuff.
So I would get
Science
advantage.
Yeah, you will get advantage.
25.
Okay, so with your 25,
I rolled a 19.
big difference. Big difference, folks.
Oh, you have the manual like upside down.
Yeah.
You saved my life twice today.
So yeah, he kind of points out some of the notes that are written down about this soil, and you guys together, after taking 15-20 minutes or so, are actually able to get a pretty good read on what this soil is. And so based on the general description that you were given previously, which was a lengthy description, yes, but this soil does exhibit properties that is different from soils that are generally found around here. It is very nutrient rich because of a great wildfire that spread through the northernmost region that, Blake, you would remember happened last year. And it got out of control, and they never caught whoever caused the fire because of one reason or another. You're not exactly sure, but you know that it was a man-made fire. It looked like arson, but again, culprits were never exactly found pertaining to that. But so this soil exhibits all of those all of the chemical kind of benefits that you would find from soil that has that. There is just like there's a lot of nitrogen. There is a lot of B vitamin, just general things that would help make plants grow. But the thing that you find kind of odd is that as you're kind of distilling this and getting the soil to dilute, there is one thing inside of this soil container that is not dissolving or going away. And when you kind of shake it up and let it all sit to the bottom again, you see that there is just this dark black worm that is trying to wriggle its way into the dirt at the bottom of your vial. And this worm is about yay long, just almost black in color, and not like the maroonish hued dark colors that worms typically get. This does look like a very, it's like almost black like a night crawler, but a little bit darker.
Do I know anything about any worm like this? And also, is it features and traits? Is this Fey Fiend or undead?
Let me check something real quick.
Just because if it would be Fey Fiend or undead, I would have advantage on a intelligence check to recall information on it.
I would sense it with my divine sense.
That is
Probably.
True. Yeah, you do not sense anything coming from it. It is not Fey Fiend or undead.
But do I know anything about this?
No. You can make a nature check. A 2?
A 2.
Okay.
A 2.
This, and it's just a kind of odd colored worm. Seems kind of weird, but I mean, worms grow in the ground. They eat dirt. Kind of makes sense.
Do you have like a jaw? That's a very small jaw.
Are you asking Sten or are you asking Caelum?
Both directed towards Sten.
I will see what I can do. I will be right back. And he kind of leaves to go into the kitchen. And after about a minute of him just kind of scrabbling around in pots and pans, you hear other things kind of shifting around. He comes back in with what looks just like a small mason jar.
I'm gonna try to like get the worm into the jar without like touching it.
Sure. So yeah, you go, and it's easy enough. I mean, it's a worm inside of a vial that you're putting into a jar. I think the hardest part is, do you want to, do you want just the worm, none of the other, like, watered down dirt or anything like that in there as well?
Ideally.
Okay. Yeah, so you make a sleight of hand check.
16.
Yeah, easy enough. So you manage to just kind of like swirl it up and kind of like shake this small vial to the point where you know that the worm would be kind of disoriented. And then you tilt it over so that way the worm extends longwards. And with your dragonborn claws, you just reach in, gingerly pull it out, and then slide it into your mason jar container and close the lid. And you just see that it's kind of like writhing around and just sort of moving. But, I mean, worms move. It's just wriggling. It's a black worm in a jar. So you can add that to your inventory as well.
Tequila.
So while he's doing that, Gwen's gonna go outside to just like keep an eye out for more things. And once like science is going on and she gets bored, she's gonna pull out her flute and just start like, she's not good at it, but she's just like playing because she's bored basically. So you guys just kind of hear this melodic thing, this tune just coming in from the outside.
Make a performance check.
Oh god. I can do that. It's a 10.
Okay.
Average.
Yeah, it like every once in a while your fingers slip because you're not as well practiced. You're still pretty full of adrenaline, so it's very much like like angry flute playing. But as you continue to play it, it very much soothes you and kind of calms you down and brings you back to your center. And Cori, you had investigated the dirt, as well, although outside near the large tree. And after about 10 minutes or so, you can see that color actually starts coming back into the tree's leaves. It's still very, very dark, but it is getting a little bit lighter.
Gonna smile about that and then go and sit behind Gwen and just kind of like nod her head to the music. And whenever Gwen comes to any sort of conclusion, she'll like literally applaud, just like.
Yep. So you just have your personal audience member.
Yep.
I'm a little like not uncomfortable, but like I was kind of like doing something, and somebody walked up on me doing something, and I'm like, "It's not for you, it's for me," sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you've ever played at a game store, there's always that kid who just hovers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you're in the middle of a game and somebody just comes over and stands.
Mm-hmm.
Just watches you, and then as soon as you finish your thing, them just like, nice, nice.
I'm pretty sure Cori is that person's spirit animal.
Oh yeah.
And like whenever that reaches any sort of conclusion, she'll like after applauding, she'll just sit there for a second and be like, "So."
Yeah. Yes.
What's
Tall
the deal
elf
with
person?
What's the deal with gnomes? I mean, you seem to have some sort of
Like problem with them?
some sort of beef.
I mean, like, look, I'm sure I'm not racist or anything. I'm sure there are nice gnomes out there. Literally have not met one. I've been fired from like 4 places by gnomes. This jerk off is like just telling us shit we don't care about. And the other night when we were fighting those douchebags, there was a gnome there too. It's just like, I mean, honestly, like I'm small enough, right? Like I'm pretty small, right? So like if there's something that's smaller than me and that can still function in a human society or a human society, I'm not comfortable with that. That's all I'm saying.
You're uncomfortable not being the smallest thing in the room?
No, I'm uncomfortable that they are smaller than me.
I
I
mean,
don't mind not being the smallest. However, I mean, I'm small enough. I don't think there needs to be another whole race that's smaller than halflings. That's all I'm saying.
oh, there are plenty of people that are smaller than halflings. Have you ever met a pixie? They're even smaller than gnomes are.
What's a pixie?
They're smaller.
Are they like go up to the store pixie? I want to buy some milk pixie, or is it like just a thing that's like a bug?
I don't know if they participate in commerce, but they do have a very rich culture.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that either.
Gwen, you can make I want to say Arcana check or Nature check.
You got it.
It's gonna go over well.
They're both -1, so let's see.
Okay.
Oh, that's a 16.
Okay, so 15.
So 15.
Yep. So you would have heard in the stories of your upbringing, when you had lived with your halfling parents, that they were like pixies are friends of the forest. They kind of go around. They can be mischievous at times, but for the most part, they are good-natured forest creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And they are fey in background and should be respected as
right.
members of the forest.
Yeah. They're just like, I mean, I think I know what you're talking about now, and it's like, they're not like part of society. Like, they're part of nature society, but not part of like society. So, I'm just saying, man.
I mean, nature is a part of society as well.
I mean, not really. Not what I'm talking. I'm talking like so you got a building and you got like people who live in the building, and like that to me is society.
Right.
Like the human society, or
Have you ever seen a beehive? They have a building in a society.
I'm gonna go back to playing my flute now.
Okay.
I am done with this conversation.
You should come back to the Feywild with me sometime. I can introduce you to some kind gnomes.
Yeah, okay.
And it's about that point, Caelum and Blake, you guys have finished your little science experiment and found yourselves a black worm in a jar.
Science, bitch.
That's what Caelum is.
Bitch. Or a black worm in a jar.
Aw.
Either way, I don't like this.
But yeah, so Sten looks at the two of you and lets you know that you are more than welcome to keep the worm that you found. He just kind of like brushes it off for the most part, as he kind of considers just worms grow in the ground. That's it. They help cultivate the soil, but he doesn't really think too much about it. And so he says that he's going to go and fulfill his end of the bargain. So he is going to go and get you guys the money that you are owed, as you have completed his request at clearing his backyard garden of any of these vile plant creatures that seem to have formed.
Gwen's gonna, once he leaves, she's just gonna be like, so is this problem like actually solved, or did we just kill the shit that's here now and there's gonna be more later?
I'm not sure. We did find, and I'm gonna pull out the worm in the mason jar.
Mm-hmm.
We found one of these. I don't know anything about it. It could just be a regular fucking worm, but
Oh yeah, that was in the mulch. The when I killed the thing, and it was in there too, or at least I saw one. I think.
just one.
I don't know. I kind of was just like, worm.
Oh yeah. There's an entire patch of earth over there that seems to have the stink of corruption. Did I not mention?
No, Coriand. I think that's something you should mention.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a patch of corruption over there. I thought you'd already noticed. You were off there doing your science and alchemy and such. And
with Blake over that way.
oh. Here it is. And she'll just gesture towards the black death mound.
Yeah, about to the right of this great oak that stands still towering in the backyard of Sten Fazeno's yard. You can see that there is a 10 by 10 plot of land where the soil itself just looks very dark, very rich. But the plants growing out of it don't look like regular plants. These look like a much more dark, sinister variety, where it's like a tomato plant, but for some reason it has thorns on it. Like, but they're not. But again, like they're not like the large rose thorns that are easily pruned off. These seem to just be bristles, almost like it's a stinging nettle kind of plant.
You know what? I can come back here tomorrow and try and... That just looks so weird.
It does.
Are we chopping things down?
I don't know if it would help.
Can I do it anyway?
Let's ask Mr. Fazano. Is it Stan Fazano, like one word name? Like share or...
Two names. Sten Fazeno.
Mr. Fazano. What the heck is going on in the back patch?
Yeah. And so you guys wait a little bit until eventually you see the gnome Sten come out of the experimental greenhouse in the back. And he has a pretty hefty looking size bag. Or actually he has 4 smaller bags. And as he approaches, he says, "I assumed that you would probably want these split 4 ways rather than in one lump sum.
Yep.
That'll be fine.
So,
Sure.
200 gold for a job well done, which means 50 gold for each of you. So he
Thanks.
hands you each a satchel with 50 gold pieces in it.
I can math. There we go.
Now, did you learn anything while you were going through my garden? Did you look at my special flower?
What
Is that a
special flower?
euphemism?
All of your flowers are special.
They are. I'm glad you're learning.
Anyway, the patch of corruption, I guess, is what we're trying to talk about.
Oh, the patch of what?
That odd, really funky mojo area in the back behind the tree.
Oh.
I think we should burn it.
As much as I don't want to agree with your halfling companion, I do believe that would probably be for the best.
See? I like you now.
I am still going to have to figure out a way to recycle this earth, or at least get it out and then put in some new dirt. But
Probably.
You should probably see what you could do about getting it consecrated. Caelum, do you know how to do that yet? Sorry, I'm still new at this. Maybe
I am too. I've never actually read the rites of consecration before. I might be able to try, but I think that's a little beyond me at the moment.
Corlon's a little more into song and dance and hitting things with swords rather than blessing. So
well, thankfully, I am a tax-paying citizen, so I should be able to get somebody up here without much of a problem to take care of it if it does need consecration.
excellent.
You might want to, and I'm going to pull out the worm. You might want to see if anybody knows about this. This might actually be part of your problem.
Well, if it is worms, I'm going to need to speak with somebody, probably from the Alchemists Guild, about a pesticide of sorts.
Yep.
The worms are in the ground, so if they're already there, there's not much I can do.
They made a tomato plant have thorns, so like...
Yes, I have been noticing that, from the window. I haven't really come back out here ever since one of those tiny wooden men tried to stab me in my chest.
Oh, so
Dave.
those aren't supposed to have thorns.
No.
Oh, okay.
None of this garden is the way that it is supposed to be, which is why I am agreeing with your halfling friend.
Gotcha. All right.
So we're burning the whole thing?
We're burning the whole thing?
Is that
A
what
controlled
that's what I asked
burn, if possible. Let me go get a bucket of water just in case.
Fire safety.
Oh my god, are we doing this?
Safety first, safety last, safety always. And he just sort of like sidles off.
for. And while he does, I'm going to light my crossbow.
You know, all things considered, he could just get a bunch of moles from like an animal tamer and then release them out into his field and they'll eat the worms.
What
Yes,
if the
but then
moles
you
turn
have-
evil?
Yeah.
Then he can get snakes and then they'll eat the moles.
I see where this is going.
And then we'll just keep on escalating after the snakes, hawks, and then...
And then once
Right.
the hawks are airborne, who
I
knows?
have to tell you a story of the little old lady who swallowed a fly at some point. But
Gross.
She was a
I
dear
know,
friend.
He's a dear friend of mine.
I miss her dearly. As it went on, we kept saying, perhaps she'll die.
That's
Little
dark.
did we know it would be true.
Gross.
Alright.
So I am burning trees,
Can
firing
we
off
just
some-
burn ground? Is that a thing you can do?
I mean, there's grass.
There's a lot.
Oh, I guess there's dirt. I don't know.
There's some wood? Question mark.
Yeah,
left over
there
from
were
the-
like little shattered balsa wood boys that you could kind of like throw across this 10 by
balsa
10.
wood
Just
boys.
kindling?
Yeah,
If it's mulched.
yeah. No, so you like
Lovely.
yeah, so you kind of like throw all this together until eventually you do create a light enough layer over this that you're pretty sure that it would catch if you were to light it on fire / when you light it on fire. And then that is when Sten comes back out and he has a bucket with him, or yeah, he just has a bucket with him at this point. And it's just sloshing full of water. All right, I have procured the proper safety equipment, and you can see that he has safety goggles on as well.
All right, I just want to say, if this goes wrong and, you know, somehow it transfers and burns down your whole house or something like that, like, we are not liable for any of that, okay?
I have homeowner's insurance. I should be covered.
What about your plants, though?
That is why I brought this, and he holds up his bucket of water.
Which is probably like, you know, 24 ounces.
Yeah, it's, I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Big enough for a gnome to carry.
Fair
yeah.
enough. All right, whatever, dude. I'm gonna walk back.
Cori's just gonna be smiling and kind of like sidle over to Blake and be like, "How much control do you have over fire?" I suppose
Enough.
it'll have to be good enough.
And I'll take 3 shots at little points where the fire can catch, hopefully, in a controlled fashion.
No, it is very quick to start. Like you feel like if you had shot any of the little small wooden guys with your crossbow, the fire alone, like you wouldn't have even needed a bolt in order to take out those guys. Like the fire that you can harness alone would have been able to just clear them out, no problem. And so as you take your kind of pot shots with your crossbow into a field, and that 10 by 10 square just ignites, it doesn't roar and get crazy out of control or anything like that. Like the fires get maybe like at most in some places like 2 feet off the ground, but for the most part it is just a very concentrated surface burn. And you can see at one point a little bit like starts to go into the grass that's next to it, and Sten just quickly like throws a little bit of his bucket onto the fire that's trying to escape to kind of keep it quenched. And then he pulls the bucket up to his chest and squeezes the little flower lapel that he has as water just starts pouring into the bucket to refill it.
I love him.
Is that magic or?
Yes. It allows this lapel of endless water can allow me to water as many plants as I desire in a given day.
Cool story, bro.
That's just
Precious.
delightful.
Precious.
All the players, all the characters. Man, fuck that guy.
Right? Yeah.
He's adorable, but we hate him.
Sorry, man. Gotta pick the races. You just always.
Mm-hmm.
So is this like we're good now? We got paid. We can just like.
Yes. If you would like, I can escort you to the outside of my home. I was trying to think of a fancier word, but it really didn't come off the tip of my tongue like I thought it would.
Abode.
That one, yes.
Right.
Oh, you-
No, I think
you're
I'm
abode.
good.
Wings, you're freezing up.
Oh, there's
What
that.
was that,
I
Wings?
know. Oh, because when she went to say abode, she said it like really slowly, like it was like the most obvious word. Abode. Alright,
Sorry, boo.
go on.
And so yeah, he escorts you guys through his house again and takes you out towards the front doors, and he lets you know, and then on his way he's also like, and just as a general check, none of you looked at my special flower.
I really think that's like a euphemism for something.
It's really not, Grey One.
No, but out of curiosity, what would happen if someone did?
Nothing, really. It's more about the presentation of art. I don't want to show it before it's ready.
Right, I can respect that.
Thank you. I'm glad to know that there is another artist amongst this group. And if you need any kind of assistance, should it be plant-based, feel free to come back here. And let everyone else know that I am an award-winning arborist. And at that, he, opens
Everyone
up the door.
knows.
Pretty obvious.
We will come visit you if we are ever in need of a shrubbery.
I don't dabble in shrubberies, sir. Grow big or grow home. That is the Fazeno family motto.
God damn
Can
it.
I look at the placard that's on?
It's,
Yeah.
right there.
What's the symbol? What's the Fazeno family symbol?
You see that there is a small house that has what looks like a sunflower growing out of the back of it. Just kind of like where normally it would be up against a sunset or a sunrise, it's instead just a sunflower.
Excellent.
Alright, you're not so bad, dude. Just don't talk too much, alright?
I'll do my best. However, I am well versed when it comes to plant terminology.
Roger that. I'm gonna give him a nux, I'm gonna put my hand out for a nux.
He'll go to give you Nux back, see that your hand is kind of dirty, and he puts a handkerchief over his. He still gives you Nux, but he doesn't want to touch the dirt.
Right. Fucking gnomes, and I go down the stairs, just tromp away.
And
God damn it.
as you trundle away, and he kind of pulls it back. I always wear gloves when I am in the garden.
I was about to ask about that.
Should we ask him about the catnap?
Oh yeah, that would help.
The reason we're there.
Well, a reason.
A reason.
Go for it.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Fazano.
Mr. Fasano.
Yes, what is it, new friends?
Oh, dear.
We had a question for you, plant related. She pull out some of that ale from earlier and kind of unstopper it and be all like, this ale was laced with a particular narcotic. We believe that it was catnap. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Off the top of my head, I know that it causes people to go to sleep very quickly.
Yes, indeed.
I would have to go and research in my massive library of herbology in order to actually give you a proper description.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Could you put together a report for us?
I believe I can put together some kind of portfolio for you. If you come back
excellent.
later this evening, I will have it ready as you have done me a service. And a favor is always... Even though I just called in a favor from a friend, I feel like you guys giving me the peace of mind about my garden has earned this. Especially since none of you looked at my special flower. So yes, come back this evening and I will be sure to have a dossier.
Excellent. Caelum, written word.
He said giant library. I'm excited for that.
And so with that, he bids you good day. And he asks where you're staying.
Oh, where are we staying? Shoot.
The zesty anchor.
The zesty anchor.
And his eyes kind of narrow.
Oh, shoot.
Oh shit.
Fuck.
I will have somebody deliver this to the Zesty Anchor. I will not go myself, as Fang and I do not see eye to eye.
Yeah, he's so much taller than you.
Ding!
That is one way of looking at it, I suppose.
You just gotta stand on the bar, bruh.
I refuse. I would rather go to a much finer establishment here in the Overlook District.
But there are no brawls up here.
Precisely. And he kind of, like, pulls his lapels a little bit.
Alright, whatever, dude.
To each their own. Some people don't like brawls.
Who doesn't like a brawl?
I
know,
prefer
right?
a nice glass of jade leaf. It's the finest wine in the lands.
Oh.
Nerd.
And jade leaf, isn't that? Huh.
Yeah, so
Is
he...
there anything else we needed to know about from this guy? What's her face? Was once her face the tiefling chick? The blind one? The creepy one? Did she need anything from this guy?
Did Markoth need anything?
No. She...
Okay.
Yeah, she had said that she was working on figuring out more about the catnap stuff while you guys, and she would have that back to you by later this evening, which, as you guys step outside, it's about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you know that if you were to walk all the way back down to Makoth's, that by the time that you got there, it would be around 6 or 7.
Okay.
Do we really want to head back there?
I mean, we kind of have to pick up the report.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So as we're walking out, I'm just gonna be like, so are we gonna be like together for a while? As like a group?
Don't see why not. You aren't doing anything else, are you?
I am currently between jobs, yeah. You know.
Oh, that sounds awfully convenient for us. I've been very impressed by your combat and prowess.
Thanks.
I think you'd be an excellent addition to the group, as well as you, Caelum.
Yeah, my old group kind of kicked me out, so they said go make friends.
Well, they
Well,
don't
you
know
would-
what they're missing.
You were
What?
certainly invaluable today.
Thank you.
Why did they kick you out, though?
No, they told me that I should go make friends, or I'll die. That's a
Weren't
good
they your
sign.
friends?
Yeah, different friends.
Okay. So, should we have a group name or something? Like a salute or a handshake?
It's a work in progress.
I'm sure we'll
And
figure
that's the
something
name.
out.
All right. Anyone want a beer?
Sure.
Yeah, wouldn't say no.
So, walking beer it is. And as we exit, like once we start winding our way down, because I'm sure there's no place out here, but I want to stop at a pub, get 4 ales, and like truck walking beers.
Oh yeah, no, and like you managed to find like the first one that you encounter, you see is the Staggering Spirit, and you're just like, maybe not that one. Seeing as how you recently got fired from there the day prior, but you managed to, and you managed to kind of just go back and forth through these switchbacks until you find yourself at it is called the it's just called the Inn Cave. And when you look at it, just on the wall of this cliff face, rather like most houses are kind of on the steeper portions of this, rather than being built out structures, they built into the side of the cliff. And so that is just what this general inn is that it was carved out and hollowed out of the actual cliff face. And going in, you can see that there's a halfling man. His hair is pulled back in a small ponytail, and he charges you 5 copper apiece for your tankards, unless you're looking for anything fancier.
Ooh, I'll just have a water, please.
Nope.
But I'm supposed to designated driver.
We are walking, sir, and it's 1 beer. You said you want to make friends? This is the easiest way to make friends, man.
Peer pressure, peer pressure, peer pressure.
Roll for peer pressure.
Listen, if he doesn't want one, he can have a water.
I mean, he can if he's a wimp.
Yes, I am the wimpy boy.
That's fine. Being a wimp is completely fine.
So do you then return
like
into
side-eye?
the... Do you...
No, I'm gonna drink it.
Okay.
I'll drink it.
Okay.
You said 5 copper apiece?
Yeah.
Nah. Okay.
All right, so yeah, you guys are all just walking along the streets, and you can see, like, it's not an uncommon occurrence to just have people with some beer while they're walking, just kind of enjoying the day. And it doesn't taste necessarily the greatest. This is very much a palatable flavor versus having, like, oh, yes, rich, hoppy aftertaste. Like, it's like, oh, this tastes like salty or barrel. But, like, it's not the worst that you've had by any means. But it's, again, not the best. And so, yeah, you guys find your way to Makoth's after finding a water skin for Caelum to drink out of while you guys are all enjoying your noonday beers.
Yeah.
And by the time that you get there, it is around 6 or 7 in the evening.
Cool.
And you can see that the inside of her oddity shop is illuminated with you can see that green light kind of shining through these green glass colored windows on the outside of her building, and the door is actually the door is just open. It looks like she's welcoming any kind of newcomers or passers-by.
Does anyone want to sit outside? I mean, I don't mind her, so but she can't really get all up in my face.
I think I'm fine with her.
No.
All right. I'll trudge in.
Okay. So
Is the Scruffy? Is the
Scruff.
Scruff.
Gruff.
Is he around?
So I would like for you to make a perception check as you walk inside.
Yeah. Well.
No.
Oh, that one.
Oh, all of us?
Anyone who's walking inside.
Perception, that would be a 7.
Dirty 20.
24.
Okay. And then what did you get, Cori?
That one.
Okay. So, the 20 and the 24, as you guys go inside and Gwen asks, where's Scruffy? Or, where's Scruffy? And then, oh, right, Scruff. You look up and you can just see that he has curled himself up almost like a cat would on top of a bookshelf. And he is just snoring away. But it, because of his dog-like jowls, it's very much that, the bulldog from Tom and Jerry whenever he would snore, where it's just like the loose lip, as his lips are just kind of going. And he's just kind of sleeping up top, and you see that Makoth is just kind of she's sitting behind a counter that she had set up at the end of the space inside of her oddity shop, and her ears perk up and her head tilts over towards you guys as you enter in. She says, "Oh, return customers. I believe it's... You said your names were Caelum? Oh, that's Gwen. That is Gwen for sure. Coriander, it's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Hello, Blake.
Hi.
Thank you all for coming back. It's always nice having repeat customers, and I do believe that I have something for the lot of you. Is that correct?
I certainly hope so.
Yes. Well, I wasn't really able to write much down, as as you may have noticed or guessed, and she motions towards the blindfold that is over her eyes. But I collect things. I collect lots of loose leaf pages and journals and documents from here and there, and I have a way of being able to put these together for you all. So, you were wondering about this catnap, that's correct. From the experiments that I've performed on it, just a little taste test here and there. Not too much to put me asleep. And then she motions in the general direction where Scruffy is. Or where Scruff is. And she said, however, my constitution is a little bit better than my dear assistant. However, there were a few tastes that were going on, a varietable flavor palette. There was the taste of Highland grass. There was the taste of ash. There was the taste of She kind of thinks for a moment. Of course, there was the sweet taste that followed. Now, catnap always has a very sweet taste. That's why it's prescribed to the majority of people as a sleep aid. Why would you want to fall asleep tasting something that is absolutely disgusting? Would be beyond me. But this certainly wasn't from around here, by any means.
Sweet thing or the whole thing?
I would say the whole thing. Or at least it was manufactured using ingredients from the north. Because we don't have these highland grasses here. Up towards the floating city, maybe. But not here.
The floating city, does that have a name?
Vascor, she says.
Do I know of this floating city?
Make a history check.
Sure. Ooh, that's a 19.
Okay. So with your 19, you would have heard of the floating city of Vascor. It is one of the major wonders of this side of the Sea of Burning Night. Where long ago there was an elven man who found a large magical gem that seemed to remain levitating. And it was just always floating above the ground. And regardless of what he did or what he applied in a space around this crystal, everything else remained floating as well, almost as if it didn't, as long as it was attached to this crystal, it didn't have weight. And so this elf actually figured out how to build a base around this floating crystal. And then, using the powers of Arcana and using the powers of technology, teaming up with the Tinkerers Guild across the sea, he was able to actually start building out a city from this floating gem, to the point where now there is a city, the floating city of Vascor, and then there is the Undercity of Vascor, which was the town that was forgotten as the other building rose into the sky.
Yeah, it's a city that floats. It's a big deal, like, at least here. So
on water?
No, like in the air, like magic and shit.
Oh.
Magical indeed. Some of the oldest magics of the land.
It's kind of hard to I mean, like, it's pretty complicated, so, like, can't go into it now, but later, maybe I'll tell you more about it.
What, you mean, like, is it possible that there's a magical gem that makes it float?
I mean, that's possible.
It sounds very simple to me.
Than that, and you're killing my thunder. Killing my thunder there.
And as you guys are having this interaction, Makath is just, you see a smirk just kind of appearing on her face, and you can see one of her pointed canines kind of gleaming out through the smirk. And then she lets you know, I've compiled some of the notes that I've made on this. If you would like to take them with you, and you can have them, but on one condition.
Excellent. Oh.
Because this is retail, honey. I don't give anything away for free.
Oh, well, how much for the notes then?
I would like a scale. Just a small one. And she kind of like turns her head towards you, Blake.
I am uncomfortable, both in character and out of character.
I mean, there might be a scale inside your chemist kit. Small one.
She's gonna know. She's gonna sniff it.
Just a small scale. I'm sure that you shed and they just fall off of you.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Do I?
Yeah, it happens to most lizards.
Yeah, like a crocodile.
Yeah.
But you gotta grow out of your skin.
Yeah, as you continue growing, you're just constantly shedding your skin and getting into bigger skin.
People do it too.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Not
what
all
ducks
at
do.
once, though. Like,
Yes! Get that
where are
shit
these?
off of me!
New skin, new me.
Hashtag new me.
Okay.
Just a singular scale. I'm sure it wouldn't be painful for you to remove. Just to keep as a reminder of our interactions.
Have you exfoliated lately?
I mean, I've been cutting myself, but that's neither here nor there. For what?
Well, as I said, a memento. And nothing's free after all.
I'm uncomfortable. Can I please insight check?
Yeah, you can roll an insight check against this lady.
I'm gonna lean over to Cori and be like, is this like a sexual thing that I don't understand?
23.
So she's
Sexual thing.
definitely not letting on as much as she possibly could about why she would be asking you about a scale. But it doesn't seem like she has malicious intent. This does very much come across as incredibly inquisitive. Like, she would feel bad about asking you to stay in this oddity shop long enough for her to do research on you. And so instead, she's politely asking for just a scale. Just a small one. It doesn't have to be very big. Could even be from where you cut your hand.
I mean, if it's not me, I guess you'll get it from any Dragonborn.
Yes.
Ow.
But again.
Take off a little scale.
Yep. And she hands you guys the notes that she has written out about Catnap, which I can I will send you guys after the game, so that way you all have actual my personal notes about the matter from Makath's perspective.
Yay!
Cool.
Cori's gonna be excellent, and take those and look at them briefly, and then just hand them to Caelum.
When you look at it, the penmanship is impeccable. Like they're like, yeah.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
It almost like
Scribbles everywhere. It's in Braille.
It's in Braille.
Have you taken a calligraphy class?
I took a few in my day.
This is very well written.
Well, thank you.
But how? I mean, how do you?
How do I see?
That? Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
I'm like, I feel like I understand like the smelling stuff because it's like, but like this is a piece of paper that you like once you write on it, you can't really smell unless you can smell where the ink is already, and like you use your hand and your nose in unison, and you just know where the edge of the paper is.
I think you've already solved the problem.
Holy shit!
Let's
Are
just.
you a witch?
She smiles as you ask her that. She says, "I may be a lot of things, but a witch I am not.
All right, good.
However,
Cool.
I have other means of seeing. Just because my eyes don't work as well as they once did doesn't mean that my penmanship should falter."
All right. Can't argue with that.
And I believe that is where we are going to call it for the night as well.
Yay!
Congrats, guys!
Congrats!
And you know why congrats? Not only did we make it to affiliate, you guys made it to level 2! Waha! So, no longer will you just be giant fleshy squish bags.
Yay!
We're giant fleshy squish bags at level 2.
Yeah!
Oh, should I roll my health or take average?
Oh, good question.
I am
yeah.
going to say I would prefer it if everyone rolled for their stats.
In the thing, in the
Ooh.
rolling thing.
Not in the rolling thing. We could roll for health right now.
Okay, time for
Alright.
some
Do
betting.
it.
Shit,
Do
what's
it.
my hit die?
Reward everyone.
Ah!
Reward everyone who stuck with us to the end.
Yay!
Max health.
What's my
Nice.
hit die?
Yeah, right. Barbarians D12.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Not great. Can you add your constitution?
Yes, you add your
modifier, right?
constitution mod.
Alright. I rolled a 3, so I'm getting 5 additional hit points.
I rolled a 2.
Okay.
Luck?
I am lucky. I don't have luck. So if I roll 1,
Mm-hmm. All right, and what about you, Blake?
I am looking up my hit die.
I believe you are a D10.
10, yeah. As a fighter class-ish.
D10.
A fighter-ish class.
Fighterish.
Shit, where the fuck my D10 go?
That's important.
There it is. That's a 0.
Nice,
Which is
Max.
okay.
Nice.
oh,
I forgot that 0 wasn't on the... Okay.
That's a 0. You get nothing.
You get nothing.
Thanks, sir.
You thought you had a con mod? Get
Oh,
that
that's-
shit out of here.
That doubles my
That's
hit
the
points.
alternate ending.
Nice.
With our award-winning arborist.
oh God.
Award-winning arborist. We're level 2 now.
You guys are, and that is where we are going to call it for the night. So again, thank you to everyone who decided to come by for the stream and enjoy the final episode of our New Dawn arc, as our players have made it out of level 1 and into level 2, as well as taken care of their first quest as a team. Now, whether or not they come up with a team name is entirely up to the characters and the players themselves, but we will always be your guys' work in progress. So thank you all so much for stopping by. We're going to do sign-offs. So, RJ, where can we find you? What do you do?
Hey, my name is Justice. You can find me at Twitter, RJustice282. Wow, this should get easier the more times we do this, but no. Or Justin7 on YouTube. And, hey, I tweet about nerdy stuff and stuff about life.
All right, next up, we have Cyberwolf as Blake. Where can we find you? What do you do?
Hi guys, I'm Connor, or Cyberwolf1201. You can find me here on twitch.tv/Cyberwolf1201, where I play video games badly, and I talk about the lore because I think that that's pretty fun. And on Saturdays right now, you can catch me on Pro Restarter's channel, playing somebody else. On some Sundays, or just stay tuned, there's a new D&D channel just started, Open for Adventure. I'll be helping out a lot with that. And yeah, follow me on Twitter at Cyberwolf1201, where I will let you know what I'm doing, because it's definitely varied. And you can also see me tweet about Critical Role and D&D and stuff.
Awesome,
Yeah.
sounds good. So, next up, LB, where can we find you? What do you do?
I tweet sometimes. I have a Twitter. It's below, and I am going to try to tweet more. So I'm going to give myself a challenge this week that I will extend to you guys, and you'll see when it comes what you must do for this challenge.
All right. I'm excited. I was unaware that there is a challenge, but challenge accepted. All right, and last but not least, Danae, where can we find you? What do you do?
Hello, everybody. I'm Wings. I draw pictures on the internet. You can find me at DanaeKeener.com. I also do commissions if you're interested in getting a commission done of your D&D character. So that's me.
All right, awesome. And to finish it all off, I'm the Indoor Adventurer. Thank you all for coming by our Monday night D&D stream. On Wednesdays, I do a show which Connor helped name called High Concept, which it won out in the contest, so it's the name now. But on Wednesdays, I am going to be playing video games for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then making a character based on that video game using D&D Beyond. Last week, we played a game called Abyss Odyssey by Atlas, and made a dude named the Soul Chad, and he was actually rather fun. He was a warrior composed of a bunch of dead people's souls. It was really weird. It was a fun character to try and build. And you can catch that on Wednesdays at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, so basically the same time that this stream starts, but using my own goddamn time zone instead of everybody else's. And this Wednesday, we are actually going to be playing Castle Crashers. So if you guys want to come by and see what one of the Castle Crasher Knights would be as a D&D character, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to just have a lot of fun with it. But that is it for me. That is it for the rest of us. And so until next time, guys, we will be seeing you. And again, thank you for stopping by. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.